Tickets for the green industry's largest trade show and event, Equip Expo 2023, are now on sale. Brian has arranged a way to help you save 50% on registration for you and your entire team. Simply use promo code Brian at checkout to save half off, and we'll see you this October, the 17th through the 20th in Louisville, Kentucky. We'll also provide you a special link in the show description.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no-nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging with you guys, and good morning. Super excited about having another great guest and returning guest to the show. In fact, one of our speakers previously at Launchpreneur Academy Live, which was just an awesome time. Actually, one of my favorite speakers, actually my mom's favorite speaker by far, still talks about it 5 years later. So you know he's making impressions and he's making a dent in the universe. That's my man, Jason Creel. Jason, how you doing this morning, brother?
I'm doing good, Brian. Thanks a lot for having me on. And yeah, that was my goal, to make your mom think that I was a good speaker. So I guess I accomplished that. I don't know about the rest of the audience, but you know, good enough for your mom is good enough for you, I hope.
Yeah, my mom and my Aunt Lynn, they still talk about how you were low key the funniest guest speaker that anybody could have ever imagined. There's no way I'll do it justice, folks. You just have to see Jason Creel live and in person. I don't know if it's a shtick, Jason, or if you're sandbagging, or if you should be doing deadpan comedy like late nights or something. But you got a gift there. I don't know if you've ever thought about making that a little bit more of an intentional thing. But man, you were a funny character.
Well, I had a good time. I think that's my one and only trip to Michigan, so it was a good time.
Hey, my funniest story from that whole experience that you actually shared on a podcast episode was your ride back to the airport with Stanley. Do you remember that? And you were like, "Hey, Stanley, any critiques about my talk?" Do you remember this story?
Yeah, I do.
What do you remember what he said?
Well, yeah, Stan's pretty good. I mean, for people listening, he's just a kind of a dynamic personality anyway, but he's had some professional training on speaking and stuff, so he does really good in audience. So I thought, I'm not having professional training, but when you do it, you don't want to be a total flop, so I'm always trying to get better. And so I asked Stan, and I said, what do you think? And he was very encouraged. I mean, Here's part of it, Brian. When people see me walk up there, their expectations is this is going to be, very low expectations. Let's put it that way. And so because of that, it's not hard for me to exceed their expectations. So he that was kind of what Stan was like, well, you in a nice way, say it was a lot better than I thought you would be. But then he said, Jason, if your natural energy level is like a 2 or something. He said, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're natural like a 2. He said, and when you were speaking, something like you were like a 5. He said, if you could get it to a 7, man, you would be killer. He's like, you're never going to be a 10. Like, you're never going to be a 10. If you could just get it up there. And for a 5, for me, feels like I'm like screaming at the audience. I was like, hyped all up. That's as good, but I'm, working on getting it up to a 7. So we'll see. I don't know.
Well, it's like one of those things where if you got like a friend who's always like late or slow, you're like, hey, what's up, Flash? And then so
yeah,
I think
exactly.
I think with you, we'll call you like Mr. Intensity or something, And
yeah.
He's just Mr. Excitement on line 1. It's Jason Creel, and
yeah,
it's is that like an environment thing? Are you just that chill, or are you like because you get a lot of work done, you make a lot of money, and you're funny as hell, but you're just the most chill and calm person I know too. So how did that? It's like a weird dynamic. I don't know.
Well, I have a lot of passion inside of me. I wouldn't say I'm like a non-emotional person. And I'm very driven, I would say. So, I mean, and you are too. I know enough about you. Yeah, and most self-employed people have some kind of inner drive, but I tell my kids all the time, it'll be Sunday night, we're sitting around, we're kind of talking about the week and whatever. And I tell them that we've officially dubbed Monday as World Domination Day. Tomorrow's Monday. We're going to dominate the world. That's what, and I say it all the time. I say we're going to dominate. We're unloading the dishwasher. We're going to dominate the dishes. I'm going to dominate the yard. And I'm not totally kidding when I say that. Like, I don't mean that in like world dictator kind of way. I mean it like whatever is in front of us, we're out to dominate. And so. Again, I don't dominate, I don't dominate much of anything, but I do have a drive to be excellent and to achieve a lot. And I don't sit around, doing. So anyway, but yeah, so I guess a calm demeanor, that helps a little bit, but inside, deep down, I've got a little bit of fire in my belly too. So
I know it, man. I that's what I'm saying. Like, it's the funniest dynamic. I feel like I got Jason under the negotiation interrogation table. I'm like, explain your personality, but really, what I mean is it's funny because you're one of the most funny, effective communicators I know. And I'm literally not just saying that. I'm dead serious. And it's like, dude, do more. And I think Stan's wisdom, if you will, was money, because people are still talking about a speech you did 5 years ago, and the excitement that they were able to extrude out of your conversation and speech. And I'm like, does anybody remember my talk from 5 years ago? Like, did anybody say I was awesome 5 years ago? So it's like, so you're more effective, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And more impactful than you probably know, which really quick, by the way, let's do this really quick. Let's zoom out, because we got a lot of new listeners to the show, and the podcast is growing like crazy because of all you guys listening in and sharing it with your friends, family, relatives, and lawn bros and gals. But we didn't really get into the formal introductions. But what's your background, your business? Who are you? What do you do, by the way, for any of the new folks that don't know you?
Yeah, I was going to tell you real quick. I'm cooking lunch. I'm not distracted. I'm making. I want to share this on the audience because others might want to copy my recipe.
What do you make? What are you making?
I'm making. Yeah. I call it voodoo slaw. I eat it a lot. I go to Sam's and for $2 and something, you buy this big bag of tri-colored coleslaw, which doesn't sound good, and it's really not that good. But I'll put it in a pan with some coconut oil or like a little olive oil, but I prefer the coconut oil. And so I'm basically stir frying it, but then I'll either put like usually some kind of chicken or something there with some kind of meat. And then I'll put buffalo sauce and Worcestershire sauce in there. And it's called voodoo slaw. That's what I call it. So,
I mean, is it good? I mean, I'm all ears.
I just felt like sharing that. I just thought, anyway, that's what I'm eating for lunch today. It's pretty good if you like. It's got a little spice to it. And I love Worcestershire sauce.
So you're a chef outside of everything you're going to tell us next.
No, I just eat voodoo slaw a lot. So anyway. I am Jason Creel. I've been on YouTube for a long time, and I think I'm glad too, because I think people that start today, it's just so competitive. It's kind of challenging to break in. I mean, not impossible. People do it all the time. I'm just saying, for me, I was sort of grandfathered in a while back, so that helped a lot to get a head start. But my channel is Lawn Care Life, and that's primarily what I do. Honestly, is YouTube. And as my business, Brian's followed me for a while, knows that like I used to mow grass a lot. Now I do more weed control and fertilization. So in doing that, my channel sort of shifted as well. I mean, I still ride lawnmowers and stuff, but I do a lot of weed control stuff, and just whatever I'm doing at my house or out for my business, I kind of share it on there. And that's gone, it's fun. It's what I basically am trying to do as an individual, and trying to do things that I enjoy. I'm kind of 50% in the field now and 50% doing social media stuff. And I think that's a good balance for me.
That's awesome. So you didn't always start that way. You've bought and sold a bunch of businesses, and started and sold a handful of businesses as well, with lawn care, landscaping, and some other things. But just are you just wired DNA wise to be an independent, person and spirit and just self-employed to be, or is it like just like you said, you're just more interested in the income?
Well, I think it is both, definitely. But I had about 15 jobs, and I don't think I'm exaggerating in saying that, and they all didn't work out. So, like when you're 0 for 15 on now, they were all terrible.
Of course.
I mean, I'm serious. They were bad. Like I think the most I ever made was $12 an hour. But I was and a lot of these were after I had a college degree and everything, and I was working for just terrible jobs. But anyway, so when I started doing lawn care, I thought, wow, and I'd get a check on one account was paying me monthly more than my normal paychecks would be for. I used to get paychecks for a week for $200 some for the whole week for a 40-hour week working and it was just terrible. And the guy, I've shared this before, but the guy I was working for one of these temp agencies, sitting there at a desk job, punching numbers on a computer, and he would give me a Hershey's candy bar with my weekly paycheck, which would be $200 something for the week, and a Hershey's candy bar. And I was just like, man. And he'd put a little note on there, keep up the good work and all this. And I was like, I wish you'd keep the candy bar and give me an extra 50 cents on my check, man. I'm like, this, I'm barely, and I told my nephew he's home for college. I don't know, I'm sidetracked here a little bit, but he's working for $10 an hour at a marina on a lake, like cleaning up boats and that sort of thing. And they said they scheduled him for 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, which I'm not sure is legal, but that's what they're doing. And I was telling my mom about it, I was like, I'm sure they did. I mean, anybody that's willing to work for $10 an hour and just, do whatever they tell you, they're going to book you as much as possible. So the point being, like that guy, he's like, I got a college graduate here working for minimum wage. I can pay him with a candy bar. And if you're dumb enough to do that, then they're going to let you, so like at some point you got to stand up for yourself and like, convince yourself, and this was what took me a long time to do, but like I'm worth more than this.
Mm-hmm.
You do what you got to do to make it. But anyway, so self-employment always had an attractiveness to me once I figured out that was an option, and then I had no desire to go back because I was like, wow, you can definitely make more if you just do it on your own than working for somebody else.
So is that what got you into lawn care and then the fertilization aspect of it, obviously?
When it comes to running a lawn and landscape business, there's always something to worry about. Are my drivers and crews doing their job? Are my clients happy? Are my trucks and machines safe? How can I make more money? Where can I save some money? With GPS Track It, you don't have to worry about it, because our software gives you a level of clarity and control over your business that you've never had. From real-time vehicle and asset tracking and optimized routing to efficiency reports and more, reach your fullest business potential. Call 866-845-1410 or visit gpstrackit.com/BrianLM to get started. That phone number and special link are in the show description. GPS Track It.
I just wanted to start a business, and that was the only thing I could think of. So I started mowing lawns, and I bought this book called 48 Days to the Work You Love by a guy named Dan Miller. And when I bought it, I've always won stuff. People draw my names out of hats for whatever reason. And when I bought it, I won a GPS. This was back when GPSs were cool, before everybody had them on their phone. So I bought the book, and he did some giveaway to get an email, said, you want our Garmin GPS. And I was a delivery driver at night 6 days a week when I started my first lawn business for a little restaurant, because I was just trying to make it while I got going, and I had that GPS and everything. And so I started mowing lawns the first year. Within a few months, I got this account on a neighborhood entranceway. I was paying me $1,025 a month year round, and it was easy. So easy. I could get out there and cut it myself in probably an hour and a half.
Wow.
And still today, I would love to have that account. It was great. And I was thinking, and again, coming from working where you made $200 some for the whole week,
mm-hmm.
and I'd get $1,000 some a month for that year. Anyway, the developer in that neighborhood had a bunch of vacant houses that he hadn't sold yet. And they were these little townhomes all close together. And I remember I took my 2003 Hustler Mini Z with a 19 horsepower Kawasaki, and I would get in those backyards. There's no fences or anything. And I would just drive across all the backyards at one time, because it was all these vacant houses he was
Sure.
trying to sell. And anyway, By lunchtime, I was making more money than I was in a week sometimes at other jobs. And so that's kind of how I got started in the line of business. And of course, I've had a lot of headaches and since then, but
that's
overall,
awesome.
I still think it's great. And looking back, it's by far the best job I've ever had.
That's funny. Well, I can literally relate because when I was similar story but different, and I talk about this in our book 0 to 100K. It's our lawn care book that we dropped. I don't know, 6-8 weeks ago, and it's selling actually really well, and appreciate you guys that are picking it up. But I told the exact same story. I was 15, 16 and mowing lawns, making, doing 10, 15 lawns on the weekend in my mom's trailer park where I lived, making $300, $400, $500, I don't know, on a Saturday. And then my mom, for whatever wisdom that she poured into me, was like, you need to go get a job, a real job, and start like working. And I'm like, I thought I am, but okay. And so I went to work at Little Caesars, and I was making, $7 an hour. Actually, it was $6.74 an hour. And, like you said, 20, 25 hours a week there. And I was making after taxes, and we got paid bi-weekly. It was like, $150. And I'm like, I swear I was just making like $300, $400 every Saturday and done by 2. And now I'm making like a third of that with 3x the amount of money. So I'm like 1/6 of the productivity as I was financially. And, any which way. So any of you guys that are 16, 17, 18, 19, and you're just like, man, I want to make some money, working at, Hollister or what, I don't even know, whatever stores in the mall these days, maybe not the most effective route financially versus getting your parents Cub Cadet 42-inch, lawn tractor, a pair of, safety glasses and some headphones and some 7-cent flyers at Staples, and you can make a little side hustle on the side. And by the way, even if you're 30, that's not an awful place to start either. If you want to start making $400 or $500 a week, maybe to take care of some family bills. So, I can absolutely see that. Any follow-up thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I have a couple actually. One, I was thinking too, even for retirees. My dad retired after 41 years of working at a company. He's got a pension and all that, but he still mows grass once a week as a retirement little side income. And then I think too, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, because my kids are getting up. My oldest daughter's 12 or so they're not quite there yet. But as my kids get a little bit older, there's some people that say, hey, I think it's good for your child to go get a job working at Chick-fil-A or something like that. They'll have to learn what it's like to work for somebody else. And I'm not discounting that, saying there's no value in it. But I think my view is I want them to, at age 15, 16, to think that they're already worth more than what Chick-fil-A is going to pay them. And if they want to do it, that's fine. Learn life's lessons the hard way, whatever. But I would prefer them, honestly, as a parent, I'm trying to teach them that at an early age, like to already figure out that there's a better way. And at 16, I told my daughter, I was like, let's say she wants a babysitter. So you can babysitter show up at your house. There's a huge demand. And nobody tells them what it costs or anything. It's just like, who knows what it costs. They don't have any rates. There's no advertisers, no nothing. You just show up, they play on their phone, and then you give them some money, and then it's over.
Right.
And I said, if you will just make out a little flyer and have like some packages on there, just say, hey, here's my 3-hour package, my 4-hour package, and here's the rate, and here's other services I can do. Here's 5 different meals that I'm happy to prepare while I'm there. Also play games. Just sell yourself a little bit and put the rate on there. Just say the 3-hour package with a dinner and dishes cleaned up is this price. Then you're just going to make way more money than doing other jobs, and just, and my daughter does gymnastics, and so she's having a gymnastics camp this summer and so she can have 9 girls come over for a few hours and make a couple $100, where she would, if you want to go work at Chick-fil-A, I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying that would be a week's worth of pay, maybe.
Right. No, I couldn't agree more. Liz and I have talked about this extensively, and this will probably go down a whole rabbit hole. And it'll change over time, I'm sure, and it'll evolve. But Liz and I have always said, like, we will cover the basics and the necessities for the kids. But anything that they want outside of that, that's on them. So, for example, and we're still debating, like, hey, if we take a flight and mommy and daddy want to fly first, do the kids automatically get to fly first? Well, To a degree, yes. But after 18 or something like that, then it's on them if they want to upgrade. Let's say we do a family trip, then they got to pay the difference or something like that. Because, I mean, after 18, to be honest with you, I was working. I was making 30, 40 grand a year at 18, 19 years old. And I think the whole like example is just to present both sides, just talking out loud parenting wise. And, again, I'm just a couple years deep into this stuff. So some of you guys have got 5 kids and they're 21, 16, 12, I'd always love to hear more parenting advice like that. But I have 2 philosophies. One is I'm going to take care of the basics and the necessities, but anything that they want that's a luxury, they either got to pay for it or chip in. So like chores, for example, aren't an option. Like I'm not going to pay my kids to do the dishes. That's like a family obligation. But if they want something nice, then they can earn it just like we did. And I don't think it's going to necessarily teach them a job mentality. I think it's called working for it mentality. And so I'm not creating like a little socialist, I feel, by like, paying them $10 or to go do something or just giving them something for free. But at the same point, I don't want them to only know that you can just trade time for money. I want to not only be an example of them being able to watch mommy and daddy run a business and make money. I know, and I've heard many, many times before, and again, we can pitch and catch. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one, but I know the kids are only going to listen to mommy and daddy so well. And so what I want to do is create friendships, relationships with mommy and daddy's friends and make friends intentionally. Liz and I do with guys like yourself and, Tracy, your wife, and Kayla, Brittany Allman, and, many other great people, is that mommy and daddy's friends are, 9 out of 10 are self-employed or small business owners or big business owners, because we all know your kids are only going to listen to you so much, especially after they get into those teenage years, but they'll really start listening to mommy and daddy's friends when we're in social gatherings. And so I want our kids to be around I want them to be presented both sides. Now, if my daughter loves horses and wants to go be a vet, I couldn't care less. That's her road to hoe. She's not getting any of mommy and daddy's money anyway. So I couldn't care less, but we'll take care of the basics and we'll make sure that they're set up, in terms of having like their first nicer car, like some 30, 40 grand car. But after that, you get to earn it, man. You get to work for it. Nobody gave, Liz and I a thing. And, I think one of the best things I've heard, on social media, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard the same thing, was don't give your kids what you didn't have, get them what you didn't know. And that's what I want to do, is just give my kids, I just needed to be presented both sides. Like I was mid-20s almost, and lied to that there wasn't even the investor or self-employed / business owner opportunity of life. Like you had said, Jason, 15 jobs. I mean, if you would have knew you could be self-employed at 18, I'm sure you probably would have just took a hard, sharp turn and went self-employed. I mean, to a degree. I mean, I don't know. What's your thoughts on all that?
Well, I think you got to have somebody, like you're saying, build friends. That there has to be typically, and it may be just a book you read or something, somebody watch on YouTube or something, but typically there's somebody that has to inspire you. For me, it was buying that goofy 48 Days to the Work You Love book. Well, I say good. It was actually pretty good. But I had to have somebody tell me, because I didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs. They just, even, I mean, I still talk about this. It's probably 3 or 4 years ago. My grandmother, we were at a birthday party. She's old, and she looked at me, and she's pretty direct in her comments. And she looked at me, she's like, "When are you going to get a job with some benefits?" Wow. And I mean, it wouldn't matter if I was making $5 million a year. It's like, well, you don't have benefits, And I didn't want to list all the. There's, that when they say benefits, they mean health insurance and 401k and all that. There's a lot of benefits to self-employment. They're not what they think of as benefits, but, I don't have to ask somebody for a pay raise or go use the bathroom or take Monday off if I want to. I mean, there's so many benefits, including a very great opportunity for pay raises without having to ask for it, So Anyway, but you get all that. But I just think culture itself, the education system in our country, all those things are not going to celebrate self-employment a lot of times. Matter of fact, often at times it's looked down upon, and the government doesn't always do you a lot of favors either. I mean, it kind of so it's just, there are some challenges, but that's why I like about lawn care. I mean, we're not talking about starting a restaurant or something. It's going to have a drastically high chance of failing, and it takes a lot of capital to get going. I'm not saying restaurants are bad, but I'm saying lawn care is relatively easy entry level. It doesn't mean you're going to kill it or make millions, but there's certainly opportunity to do well for yourself and a lot lower risk than a lot of other businesses.
Yeah, and that's the thing that like always inspires me is when you get around the 16-year-old kids that have these $50,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year businesses. It's just so incredibly encouraging. I think it's fascinating, and that's what I want to just do is present the other side. And to be fair, like this may be like kind of zoom out, but from like 12 to 22, 23, like it's kind of scrimmage anyway. I wouldn't base my future, my career, my destiny, my identity on anything that I accomplished from 12 to 22, 24-ish anyway. Like you're just scrimmaging. I mean, you're just tasting, as Gary Vee says. You're just trying a couple different things, see what you like. How do you even know you want to be a vet if you've never worked in a vet practice for 2 years, 3 years, or went to vet school for, at community college for 6 months? So like, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, my kid wants a job. They're going to be employees forever. How dare they? Like that, we would never say anything like that. But at 22, maybe they graduate and they're 6 months into their career and they're like, I can't even like leave to go on vacation with mommy and daddy because my job won't let me. Dad, why is that? Well, I mean, hopefully, our kids obviously already know the answer, but I'm like, you have a job. There's different rules to that game than there is to maybe self-employment or a big business. I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. And so if they go, like what's going on here? You just say, hey, remember how I always told you, like, you could be self-employed. Of course it comes with its own challenges, but there's pros and cons to everything. So, again, I can't win for my kids. They're going to have to learn those lessons all on the way. And you guys listening in, like, we're all learning lessons every single day. Like, you are self-employed, you're a solo owner operator, and you get COVID, and maybe it gets the best of you and you're out for 10 days. And you realize you took a $5,000 income hit. Well, I mean, we just want to present all sides to the equation, and that's something that I've really tried to do is not say like, hey, self-employment or entrepreneurship's for everybody, because I've never been a guy that subscribes to that. I think anybody could be self-employed because to me it's just a skill set. It's a little bit of a mindset, and I think anybody can adopt that. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to say entrepreneurship is for everybody or working a job is for everybody. I think it's really, what do you want to do and what do you want to accomplish, on your time on this great ball of mud,
Yeah, I see people that I think are so skilled. I'm like, you got so much skill. Like you could start your own business too. But some people are just not comfortable. It's not their personality. They're not much of a risk taker, and that's fine. Yeah, I agree. It's not for everyone. But I do with my kids. I try, and I'm not 100% sure this is right or wrong, but I do try to talk to them openly a little bit, even about finances, and they're anywhere from 7 to 12 years old. So maybe more so with the 12-year-old than the 7-year-old. But like my son rode with me one time. We were out spraying yards, and I go spray a yard, and it takes like 8 minutes, and he's like, how much money do you get for that? Now he doesn't understand expenses and business costs and all that, but he's like, wow, you tell him it was $50 or whatever it was. And he just thinks that's great, and that's fine. I mean, again, he doesn't know all the cost that goes into it, but I'm okay with that. Him knowing that, hey, yeah, it does actually pay better than we pay if he's working for his grandma for $10 an hour. That's fine too, but he knows that this pays better. So I'm just trying to get their mind turning at an early age, because they have to have exposure to it, or it's going to be hard to. Well, hard for them to even know. Have you
introduced the game, or and if you do or don't or agree or disagree, that's totally awesome. But have you introduced the game Cash Flow Quadrant to them with your kids by chance?
No, my brother-in-law I think has that game. Is that the Robert Kiyosaki, whatever his name is?
Oh
yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, I haven't done that, but I think that would be. I've heard good things about it, but no, I don't have that game.
What 100% endorse it. 100% awesome. It changed Liz and I. We were broke. We had no money, no life, no lifestyle, no income, we were just loser people. I mean, we weren't losers, but our lifestyle was pretty loser. Like you know what I'm saying. And that's what we did for fun. We would go on date nights to Barnes and Noble, grab magazines, the Rob Report, somebody would always slice it open. It's one of those like $9 magazines you got to like buy before you can read it. One of those deals. I was so poor I couldn't even get the $9 magazine to dream build about the nice Aston Martin inside of the magazine. I'm like, well, how am I ever supposed to get rich if I can't get a Vision? Because the Vision's saran wrap for $9. Like I was just like, this is trying to keep the little man down. You know what I mean, Jason? But somebody had always sliced. Yeah. It's funny right there. But somebody had always sliced the top on one of them, and that's what we did. We got a little $3 coffee at Starbucks or whatever it was, and outside of that, we literally would go to Chipotle, split meals, and then outside of that, we would just stay home and play Cash Flow Quadrant. That was like a date night for us. I was like, Liz, you want to have fun and like play Cash Flow? And I know you guys, somebody listening in is like, that's so dumb, or that's so dorky or nerdy, or like, you think you got to wine and dine your girl and take her to $200 steaks and wine and tiramisu. Like, Liz and I really, it's probably counter shock to like everybody's surprise, like what we did as a dating couple. Like, we didn't date. Like, the very first time we met, we called it the interview. We talked the top 10 things and top 100 things about business, life, politics, kids, finances, homeschooling. I mean, literally, it was either you're going to be my wife or we're probably not going to date. Like, and people be like, that's weird. And some people don't even address certain issues like until 2 years into their relationship, or maybe they're already married. And then they're like, hey, I want to stay at home and be a stay-at-home wife. And the guy's like, I want you to be a career woman and have 2 incomes. But like, you never talk about that until year 2. Like, and you're already married. Liz and I talked about that in the first 20 minutes of a date. And so anyway, to go back to Cash Flow, Liz and I played that game probably 100 times, and it's awesome, dude. I'm telling you, if there's any one thing I want to teach my kids, if there's any one thought, it's just, if you guys are listening to the show, if you can remember any one thing from the show, it's assets pay for liabilities. That's it. I mean, if my kids can repeat that at 18 years old back to me and understand it, and it's like ingrained into their brain, which is what the game really helps them to understand, then, I feel like I could do one of the, 4 or 5 different things that I want to make sure are like ingrained or instilled in my kids, besides like good character, is just assets pay for liabilities. If you can figure that out, even if you take a job route, that's fine. Just go get a couple rental properties by the time you're 40 or 50, and you'll have a safe, quote unquote, retirement. If you want to just have an average small life, that's totally fine. But if you want to grow a big business or an empire, as Dan Martell calls it, then hey, more assets pay for more liabilities. But that game is actually probably a perfect game at a perfect age for your kids at 7 to 15 years old, because they're very young, very impressionable, and it gamifies like making money, I guess, and understanding how finances really work. So I highly endorse it, man.
I think I'm going to buy that. And is that, if you were going to recommend one of his books, is like the Rich Dad Poor Dad, is that kind of the best one to get the whole general concept of what he teaches?
Rich Dad Poor Dad's like kind of the foundational book, and then the Cash Flow Quadrant, in my opinion, is like even better than that, because it really helps you understand the 4 different mindsets of each category and each part of the quadrant. The first book is really helping people understand that assets pay for liabilities, and that, poor and middle class people, they rely on an income and then pay for expenses. Wealthy people create assets that bring an income that then pay for their liabilities and their expenses. And so that's like the big shift from the 2 different mentalities out there. And so I would start with that book. It's a very easy book to read. There was also, I think like Robert Kiyosaki wrote, like Rich Dad Poor Dad for teens or for kids or something like that. I don't think I've read that one just yet, or if there is a book like that, but I know there's some books that are catered to helping kids understand money, which is really, really cool. But, and we're talking business and finances on this podcast today, kind of, in parenting even, but there's a lot of other stuff you want to ingrain and instill in your kids and all that stuff, and character, and, some good rootedness and family and faith. But financially, dude, if my kids could at least understand, like, here's one thing I'll say, Jason, like, it's a fun exercise because it's a very revealing thing. Like, you actually, and I'd love to get a follow-up with you couple months from now if you do buy the game. Like, think and remember how you play the game the first time to how you play it the 10th time, because the first time I actually played it with another buddy of mine. He introduced me to the game. The funny thing was, the first time we both played the game, because we were so employee like mindset, it took us 6 hours to quote unquote beat the game, which was like to get out of the rat race, they call it. Then like 6 hours, dude, like no BS. And we fumbled through the game so bad that was just a quick, like lens into our worldview of how we took our mentality about money into the game, which is the idea. That's the game. It reveals that. So like, fast forward, I play with Liz. I think she got so frustrated with the game, she literally stopped playing it. She's like, this is stupid. And I'm like, I know that it's frustrating and challenging, but it just, with all due respect, it was just like it took me and my friend 6 hours to beat the game. Liz got so frustrated because she's like, I don't understand. I just can't stand this right now, because it was so challenging to her belief system. And that's actually the fun game. If you've played the game with like by yourself or with somebody, I should say, and then you introduce somebody new to the game. So like every time you bring your kids into to play the game, this is a whole apparently a pitch for cash flow. Shout out to Robert Kiyosaki. He can send a check in the mail. But when you guys play it, it'll be fun to see like if your kids do better than you and Tracy, or if you and Tracy do better than your kids, or maybe have like a family night and you bring brother or sister-in-law over, right? And see how they do. And like you bring somebody who's a high income job person in and see how they do to the game, versus you bring a self-employed person or a successful business owner friend over, like, and then see how they play the game. And it's 100% directly correlated, like how fast you beat the game with how well your financial value system is going into the game, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's fair. It's fair is what I'm trying to say. Like, so yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to get it because we like playing family games anyway, and I'd like one that taught something. But yeah, as you're talking, I'm sitting here thinking of, I'm listening too. I'm not just I'm a bad listener and just thinking of what I'm supposed to say next. But so I was listening. No. But at the same time, my mind was going to a couple of friends in my head, and I've got some friends that are like big into the. I forget what you call it, where you buy like the whole life policy, insurance policies, and you use that to, you're basically your own bank, infinite banking. Yeah. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And so that kind of stuff. And I mean, I've looked into it to some degree, but I've got another friend I'm thinking of, and he's always acquiring assets, like you're saying. And I'm like, man, he is just, everything he does seems to work out, great for him. And I was talking to another friend in the lawn business the other day, and I was asking him just how things are going. And he said one thing he did, he said, I bought a skid steer. I think like a brand new one, like, and those maybe $80,000. So I don't know. They're expensive. And he said, I bought it and I'm renting it out. And he said, that's actually going really good. So he's got his own skid steer now, but he's able to rent it out for, it's like $400 a day or something. I don't remember exactly, but, you just think people that just understand things like that, they like for instance, I can't afford a lake house, but they buy a lake house, rent it out, and it basically pays for themselves or even becomes a money making asset, and then they still can use it most of the time when they want anyway, and it's I had some friend that did the same thing with an RV. Like they got an RV, it's big and fancy, but they rent it out, and then anyway, it's just a smarter way to do it versus like, I just went and bought an RV and it sat in my backyard for 4 years and we went on one trip, Well,
so funny story. I want to build a nice outdoor living patio and space, in the backyard of our house to be, and that we're building, and the pool area and all this mess. And I was like, it's so we really want to like enjoy the pool 5 days a week. Like that's the idea if we're making this kind of investment. And my friends, one of my friends was visiting the property because he wants to build a custom home one day. And he goes, yeah, dude. He goes, you could always like rent it out though on the, I don't know the name of it. It's like an Airbnb for pools. I don't know if you've seen this. I didn't know it was a thing. And he's like, dude, you could do like a pool B&B. And I go, well, number one, my brain goes to, that sounds like a lot of liability. But outside of that, he's like, yeah. But you could rent out your backyard patio for like $1,000 or $400 or $200, and people could literally have a pool party. And I'm like, wait a minute. So if I build this like Mac Daddy outdoor patio and landscaping and, setup, you know what I mean? Like, obviously the goal is like not have to rent stuff out. Like, you're wealthy enough to not have to do that. But
yeah,
but at the end of the day, you know, like you said, if you want to go buy a 5.0 Mustang and it's, you know, $600 a month or something like that for the payment, you know, rent it out on the weekdays and you enjoy it on the weekend, or vice versa. And it's an interesting game to play, because again, it really helps present the other side of the story about assets pay for liabilities. Now, if you want to create assets debt free, or finance and use OPM, or, you know, finance things to create other assets that make income or cash flow, that's a whole like sub debate. That's like where you get into the whole Dave Ramsey, you know, conversation. But I just want my kids to know, like, hey, practically speaking, if it's just you out there earning income, you're going to be limited. And I think that's why the social media thing is so attractive to so many people, because you can have a couple other irons in the fire, from doing Amazon stuff to YouTube stuff to creating a t-shirt business, direct fulfillment, you know, on Cafe Press, or what, there's hundreds of things you guys all do out there, make hats. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's an interesting conversation.
Well, I like that people think that way, because you got to get creative. I always thought I'd do multiple streams of income, and I think, oh, that's great. I got multiple streams of income, but then sometimes I think, well, maybe if I just had one income that was doing better than all these multiple ones combined, maybe that would be smarter. So yeah, there's a lot of views on it, and I don't think it's necessarily one of the things. This is the right way of doing this wrong, but I like the creative mindset and just always continuing to think. And then I think a key word is adapt, because the market changes. There's always new, 10 years from now, things will be different. And are you able to adapt? And I think that's what and entrepreneurial people typically are better at adapting than non-entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and it's a great insight to that. I mean, you almost have to with self-employment, because so many things change so fast, Yeah.
Usually against you, not for you.
Yeah, well, that's fair. If you don't change, then you're going to get left behind, right?
yeah, exactly.
I love it. Well, hey, really quick. Well, I wanted to get a life update, but I also want to get a quick business update. I know you said you're shifting gears with different things that you're approaching right now, and different focuses and time and energy and all this stuff. You got a big family. You guys went through a whole renovation process with your home, so. A lot going on in the Creel household, but a quick update. I was talking to Paul earlier, and he was really hyping up and getting excited for your guys' conference. It'd be a shame to get you on and not get a quick plug for the conference you guys are putting on. I think it was in February, right? If I'm not mistaken, this upcoming 2024.
Yeah, and this is my fourth time doing it, but I can't call it annual because I took a 4-year break, and even before that, it was spontaneous. So I'm pretty inconsistent. But the last one we did was January 2020. This will be February 2024. So yes, the 23rd and 24th. And I got Paul Jameson in helping me. I thought he had a lot of value. Paul and I are two different people, but I respect the way he's gifted, and his skills that he brings are a lot different than mine. So I'm in general, I'm against partnerships as a whole, and I think Paul is too. But we just thought in this situation it made sense to partner up on this. And but yeah, February 23rd, 24th. The info is at lawncarelife.com. It's my website. There's a link for the conference, and we've done it before. This is going to be a Friday night and Saturday, and got a good list of speakers, so we're excited about that. And I think we've done these. My in-laws are in the wedding business, so we have a big venue. Brian's been down here before. We got a big venue that we're able to use, and I think they say we can hold 300 people, so that's what we're going to shoot for. So
that's awesome.
We're excited about it.
That's awesome. And what's the purpose or the MO for the conference?
Well, that's a good question, Brian. I probably should have thought about that ahead of time. Well, at the end of the day, we're trying to make more money. Like in the past, I've done like the kind of weed control section of it, but this is not going to be as much like technical. Like they're showing people how to spray weeds. I did like a how-to event in November. For like 20 people, and so I'll do those kind of deals. This is more just what I tell people on these events, and I don't love events as much as other people do. But sometimes for me, I've realized this, and I'm ashamed to admit this a little bit, but I need this psychological boost to stay motivated, because it is a daily grind. And I would like to think that I'm just so self-motivated I don't need that. But what I find is I actually do need that more than I realize. And so I think when you hear speakers and you're around the community and all that, it does kind of reinvigorate your fire for the lawn care business, because it can be a grind in the summer. And you think, I think, well, when my yards look good, everything's going great and I'm fine. But when equipment starts breaking and customers are complaining, then you sometimes want to give up. So for me, these things are about firing everybody up, getting excited, and reminding you why you're doing what you're doing.
I love it, man. Great answer. Good answer. Awesome. All right. Cool deal. Well, if that resonates with you guys and you're across the country and you guys want to go on down there, awesome. I was telling Paul, we're going to have our live event. Actually, you were one of the speakers, like I was joking about at the top of the hour, at the Novi location where we did the Suburban Collection, LEL 2019. And it was awesome time. It was a ragtag bunch, man, but we did it. We made it work. And it's gotten progressively better along the way. And that's you guys giving direct feedback from the speakers, the events, the flow. It's starting to get into a well-oiled machine, but we'll be doing that again here this November. Tickets will go on sale in a couple of weeks. But I told Paul on the podcast episode that we had done formerly that if you can't make it to our event, go to the Lawn Care Conference, Lawn Care Life Conference. If you guys financially can't commit to getting up to Novi, Michigan because of a plane ticket, but you're 2 hours up the road or down the road or whatever from where Jason's event is, then go there. Awesome. I just really, this is my personal opinion. I said, just don't be a groupie. You guys listen to the show. I'm all about having fun and networking and making friends, and that's what we all do. No doubt about it. But at the end of the day, like, go to grow, go to learn. Unless the theme of the conference is, hey, come and veg out and just, have fun and it'll be a cookout. That's fine too. But just different events have different themes or different goals or different, what would you call it, Jason? Purposes, if you will. And I just want to make sure you guys, like, if you're going to Equip, go to Equip to shop, look at future equipment, like get educated, maybe, network with some of the different companies or the dealers. Like, that's really, really helpful. But if you're going there to learn X's and O's, how to grow a successful company, that may or may not be at Equip Expo. I know they're trying to cater more of that, shocker, because that's where people truly find value, because orange paint, red paint, yellow paint, green paint, it's all the same. But actually running a successful business and having a fulfilled life that you can only get in a couple different places. So I guess I just try to say is don't spend all your money going to all these different things. Go to one or two and be very what would you say, Jason? Like, intentional with what you're trying to accomplish. And that's why I wanted to know the MO and the goal for the event.
Yeah, I think I need to do better constructing that down into one sentence for my sake. So I appreciate the reminder there. But I don't go. I one time paid $2,500. I think I told you this, Brian. I told people all the time. I told Paul I don't usually buy the cheese dip at the Mexican restaurant, but I paid $2,500 to go to an event one time, and it was because I genuinely thought that this thing is going to bring enough value to where the ROI is going to make sense for me, and looking back, I think it did. And so for me, if it's not delivering something to help. Now, again, I'm not a social person, so some people just want to hang out and all that, but for me, it's got to deliver value. So we got to make ours excellent. I keep telling Paul, Paul, this thing's got to be excellent. I mean, we can't just, and so that's where we're working on. Fortunately, we got some time.
That's awesome, man. No, 100%. I mean, and I'm in the same boat with you, man. We don't want to get comfortable. We don't want to rest on our laurels if we have any, right? And just a quick note, I was there in 2018 or 2019? I can't even remember, dude.
I think it was 2018. I believe.
Gosh, it seems like yesterday, but also 5 years ago, which is wild. And I don't know what I said sharing on stage. So if you could do me a solid and just delete that or burn it, that'd be helpful. Because I could only imagine what I was saying 5 years ago. Good Lord. But I hope 5 years from now I say the same thing about what I'm saying today and go, man, he was such a mental midget. Like, he could have, learned and grew and been so much more. And hey, I'm working too. I'm still a self-development junkie, just like all of you guys listening to. I'm trying to grow just as much as you guys are. But I just want to say it was a beautiful place, very simple to get to. Beautiful venue, great time, great people. And so I hope you guys have nothing but success with it coming up here, man. Where can people get more info if they want to go down that rabbit hole again?
So you go to lawncarelife.com. There's a link for a conference there, and I think all the information's on that webpage.
Cool, awesome. All right, cool deal, man. Well, any parting thoughts that you want to leave the audience while we got you, man? But it's always cool to catch up with you. I try to get you on like at least once a year just to see what's new. I got a shop tour still that I got to drop with that we did, a little impromptu one, and it was cool to see you guys' new personal like shop and barn that you guys have on the property. So make sure you guys check out the YouTube channel for that. But anything else you want to leave these guys while we got you? But if not, we'll kind of land the plane right here.
Well, no, I just appreciate you having me on. And when is your baby coming? I know you probably mentioned that before, but what's the? I don't know.
Our second baby.
Yeah,
we had him 3 weeks ago, but it's okay.
Oh, see, Brian, man. Well, there you go. Congratulations. Hey, I don't keep up. Well, hey,
no,
that just lets you know it's not a rehearsed show here. This is authentic. So.
Yeah, that's funny.
I didn't know.
Well, we get life updates from everybody. I mean, dude, for real. That's sometimes I catch up with people, even friends, and they're like, "Hey, so what's going on with the house? You guys start building yet?" And I'm like, "Actually, the second floor is going on, but it's all good. Thanks for asking."
Yeah, well, I see people's babies that are kin to me, and I don't even know their name. I'm like, "Whose baby's that?" And I mean, right. So yeah, I'm excited for y'all. But I'm sorry I didn't know that, but that's exciting.
No, I can't. I can't believe you don't catch up with our daily life like every day. That's we'll let this transgression slide.
Well, unfortunately, I personally don't watch a lot of social media. So I'm sure you said there's nothing against you personally. I just don't watch much of it. I try not to watch my own videos if I don't have to.
Well, at first I was getting concerned that the podcast app that you use doesn't take the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast serious. Is it Podbeam or I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, Paul's always on me about Podbeam. I went a couple years ago and I didn't really know what podcasts were or listen to them much. I just searched. I got a Google or Android or whatever. I searched for podcast player, and that's what came up. So I hit install. And and I know I'll say this is something that me and you both I like Red Max blowers. I tell people the first blower I bought was a Red Max, and I've never had any reason not to use a Red Max. They're just great, and so I started using Podbeam, and when you hit the button, it plays it. So why would I need to switch over to Spotify or anything else? Like, it works. I hit the button and it's played.
I thought Podbeam, is it Bean, like Bean, or Beam, like you beam it to you?
I really don't know, but I think it's actually a bean, like a pinto bean, like a bean.
Oh, bean. Oh, okay. I thought
I think I don't know though, but I just my head. I don't know. It's one or the other.
I honestly was laughing. I told Paul, I said, it might be like an Alabama exclusive. Like, that's all they get, Like, I didn't know. Because I was joking on my show, Jason. I'm like, yeah, we have an international show, which means it plays in foreign countries like Alabama, And
yeah, that's right.
That's my good old joke. But I thought maybe Podbean was just what you guys got access to, like a Cricket Wireless, but for podcast players. So.
Nah, man, I got all kinds of stuff. Yeah, Alabama is actually a great state. I know you're just messing with it, but it's a great state. I don't know. I tell my kids all the time we live in the best state. Now I haven't looked at all the elements, but I think in general, the weather it does get quite humid in the summer. It's maybe not the 100-degree, but 93 with extreme humidity is very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I like that, actually. I'm all about that life. I can't get Liz convinced to go on down to Alabama, Carolina, Florida, because if that's the case, I would probably reset up shop, because I actually low-key hate the winter, hate the cold, and hate the cloudiness that is like all 200 days of Michigan. So I'm never going to fight you for best state in the union with trying to put Michigan on top. It's probably in the lower 10 of the 50, if you will. So, but I digress. But no, that's awesome, dude. I'm glad that things are going well, and it's always cool to get a check in and see what's new. But no, thanks for taking time to be on the show today, man. I know you got a big family to get back to, but thanks for taking time out of your day to spend time with encouraging all these guys.
All right, Brian, good talk with you. Thanks for having me on.
All right, guys. Well, hey, that was Jason Creel with The Lawn Care Life. Make sure you guys give him a follow on YouTube. Make sure you guys check out his website. He's got a bunch of great stuff going on, including the conference, of course, but some great resources as well for if you guys want to learn more about fertilization and specifically maybe more so for like warm season grasses. But I sent a lot of people Jason's way to learn about all the above. So that's what we got for you guys, man. The man, the myth, the legend. So that's what we're going to kind of land the plane for today. Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast episode. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and review. If you guys do want to reciprocate, we would be ever so grateful. And that's what I got for you guys on today's show. Let's kick it back over to Marty, Mr. Producer, to button this thing up. And I look forward to catching up with all of you guys here on the next one.
When it comes to running a lawn and landscape business, there's always something to worry about. Are my drivers and crews doing their job? Are my clients happy? Are my trucks and machines safe? How can I make more money? Where can I save some money? With GPS Track It, you don't have to worry about it, because our software gives you a level of clarity and control over your business that you've never had. From real-time vehicle and asset tracking and optimized routing to efficiency reports and more, reach your fullest business potential. Call 866-845-1410 or visit gpstrackit.com/BrianLM to get started. That phone number and special link are in the show description. GPS Track It.
Hey guys, it's Brian.
And Liz.
Hey guys, we can't wait to see you at Together in the Trades, the summit for couples in business and marriage conference that we're co-hosting with Caleb and Brittany Allman. Guys, it's going to be going on July 14th and the 15th, and we can't wait to see you there. Liz, what else can they expect?
Well, this year we're turning it into a 2-day event. So you'll have half-day sessions both days, and then there's time for activities and adventures and, coming back together in the evening as a big group. So a little bit more of like a retreat focus this year. Definitely out of, kind of our comfort zone being out there in the mountains, and it's the perfect place to have a retreat at the end of our busy season.
Guys, we can't wait to see you there. TogetherInTheTrades.com. Got a handful of tickets left, but we really hope to see you, your significant other. It's going to be a great time. Come strengthen your relationship, work on your marriage, and learn how to grow your business together as a power couple. We can't wait to see you guys there. TogetherInTheTrades.com.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.